Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. Never been here before. Kind of just spewing thoughts at this point. So it got me to thinking. I saw something yesterday. The Yankees qualifying offer to Trent Grisham got me thinking. Is this something more along the lines of hedging a bet against losing out on Bellinger, being priced out of that market, which is alarming? Or is it something more along the lines of we really actually want to keep him in tandem with Bellinger, which is also troubling because then what are we doing with Dominguez and Jones, who Jones at this point is 24, needs to probably be on the Major League roster next year. He's got almost nothing left to prove in the minors, unless you want to have another 26-year-old rookie like Judge, which I know they're similar players, not the same archetype. I don't think that's what they're thinking. If they are, this front office might have more problems than we originally thought. But anyway, got me thinking. I decided to go ahead and map out a Yankee offseason that I particularly thought would be a good idea. And no, it does not involve Trent Grisham. I would not have given him the qualifying offer. The draft pick compensation is not worth possibly having to carry a $22 million salary, where if you go in other directions, now you're looking to offload that salary and you're going to have to eat half of it to possibly move him for pieces. No, thank you. I would not have extended the qualifying offer to Grisham. The compensatory pick is not worth the gamble of having to carry $22.05 million in salary next year, counting towards a luxury cap. You know they're very cautious of going so far over the tax. Who the hell knows what's coming next year? Salary caps. Yeah, it's wouldn't have done it. So spent some time, looked through the free agents, looked through the roster, really kind of figure out where we needed to go from here, but also at the same time wanted to be realistic with the offers and keep it not go fantasy land. You know how a lot of Yankee fans, let's go sign Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger, Bo Bichette, Bregman, put them all on the roster. Let's spend $150 million just this offseason. It's not going to happen. I'm a realistic Yankee fan in that aspect. Also a Jets fan, so I'm perpetually frustrated by everything and everyone. So I went through, have a whole list here of everything, and gonna kind of just look at this, go through, and let me know what you guys think. Comment, like, subscribe, the whole deal. It's YouTube, baby. We gotta get everything in. Gotta shill to shill. But anyway, honestly, I don't see the Yankees adding too much to this team this offseason. I think priority number one, of course, is Bellinger. Having him come back and affording them the luxury and flexibility to play him at first or in the outfield is paramount to the success of this offseason. He's priority number one for the Yankees. He's 29. He needs to be back, but he also needs to be back on a deal that's not insane. If he goes and gets a 5, 6, 7-year deal that's north of 185, 190, the Yankees are going to get priced out because that just doesn't make sense at that point. 6 for 200. I'm not playing. No, thank you. No, thank you. But I think you can get him on a more reasonable deal with a higher AAV. So you're gonna pay more per year, but I think you can get him for 4. I could be entirely wrong on that. You might have to go to 5. But my offer was 4 for 128. That's a 32 AAV. He's coming off a deal where he was getting he opted out of 27.5. It's $4.5 million pay raise for 4 guaranteed years. Maybe you tack on an option year for a 5th year at 32 for him. So then you bring the whole deal total up to 5 for 160. Maybe you just go straight 5 for 160. And you eliminate the option, and you guarantee he comes back, and you get him for 5 years at 32. I don't think that's a horrible deal. I prefer the 4 for 32 just because he is 29 and he has fluctuated at times in his career. So I think 4 for 32 is the better play Yankee-wise. We all know free agency is nuts, so chances are that's probably not going to be realistic. I think it's going to be real. I think it is realistic. He will want the 5. Is where this actually ends up. Now that I'm kind of talking this out and thinking out loud, 5 for 160 makes sense. I'd prefer the 4 for 128, but 5 for 160 makes sense as well. The only other, well, there's 2 other free agents, but I'm gonna get to the other one in a second. The other one that I could see is a possibility. I don't think it's highly likely. This is probably 50-50, and this is if the Yankees just decide to go full Death Star again, kind of, and they go, let's bring in 2. I actually think Bo Bichette would not be a bad signing if the deal is structured correctly and you have the conversation with him ahead of time that he's going to third base. Because his defense, not good at shortstop last year, and it only got worse from the year prior. So it ain't going to get better. So Bo Bichette's coming in. He's going to third. That's where he's going to go play. And if I'm not mistaken, when he was in the Blue Jays organization, I think coming up in the minors, he did play some third, and he might have actually played some third for them in... He's either 22 or 23. I think he played some third base. I could be wrong on that. I did not double check that. That's my mistake. But I'm pretty sure he does have some third base experience, whether it be minor league or even some a little bit in the majors with prior seasons with the Blue Jays. This helps the Yankees, one, because, yes, Ryan McMahon is a Gold Glove third baseman, but Ryan McMahon basically half the time goes up there without a bat. Yeah, no, thank you. You could keep McMahon and have him on the bench, and he's a brilliant late-inning defensive replacement for Bichette. You know, you play... It's kind of the Stanton model when they had Stanton in the outfield while Judge was hurt. Stanton's out there playing the outfield for 6-7 innings. We get a lead. He goes to the bench, defensive replacement, and in most instances it was Caballero or, you know, if Grisham or Bellinger were off, they would come in. Better defender goes in the outfield. They'll play the last half of the game, but you get the offense for the first 6-7 innings. That's what I'm thinking here. Bo Bichette comes in. Now, you're going to have to give him... He's 28, so he's going to get a 7-8 year deal. But if you structure it correctly, this could be a beautiful window for the Yankees to use. Now, the way that I structured it is it's 8 for 280, which is $30 million a year, which is about what he'll get. I looked up somewhat guesstimates and whatnot were for him, and that's right in the ballpark where everybody thinks he's going to fall, is that 8 for 280, 7 for 250 maybe. If someone decides to get crazy, 10 for 300, but I don't think anybody's going there. I don't think 10-year deals are going to be a thing anymore in baseball. But you got to structure this very carefully if you're the Yankees. The way that I structured it is you give him an opt-out after 1 and 2 years. Simply because at that point if he balls out again, he can opt out at the end of the year, try to get another contract. If there's a lockout, he's not opting out of that contract. We're going to get him locked in at a second year at 29 for $30 million. He balls out again, he's going to opt out then. Now he's 30, opting out of a deal that's, you know, a 6-year, $200 million deal that's left or around that mark. I mean, at that point, you've got McMahon off the books. You've got Stanton's not off the books yet, but I think he's got 1 year left at that point. You're out of a lot of bad contracts. So you could either decide to re-sign him, or you can just let him walk, and then you're going to use that money to re-sign Jazz, who will be up, I think it's 2 years. You know, re-sign Jazz. You know, Dominguez isn't going to be up at that point. Volpe might be up, but who the hell knows where Volpe's going to be at that point. At this point, he's still on the roster, but we'll get there in a minute. But I think Bichette could fit at third to improve the offense, be passable on defense, and then it gets replaced by McMahon, who stays on this roster as a defensive replacement in the later innings. And McMahon is still then a bat off the bench for pinch hitting spots. You know, whenever Bichette has a day off, you still have a major league third baseman that's going out there to play third base. And he has flexibility. He's played first and second before in his career. Now, I don't know if he can play second anymore, but I believe he can still play first. He's not shot. I believe he would be somebody that you could do as first or third in that instance and just give you even more flexibility. The last person that I believe the Yankees should bring in, and I would bring in if I was running this damn thing. I like the bullpen the way it sits, but I'd rather have a shut down back end. Just shut it down. And you get to take a shot at your neighbors across the river after they took Soto from you. I'm going to sign Edwin Diaz. That's best case scenario for the Yankees. To have a back end bullpen where you go get Edwin Diaz, you put him in the 9th, and then you put Bednar in the 8th, and then you've got a mix of Doval and Cruz for the 6th, 7th, however you want to play that. But you also have Tim Hill back. They picked up his option yesterday as well. So you've got Tim Hill, Fernando Cruz, Camilo Doval, David Bednar, and then you add Edwin Diaz. That's 5 relievers that they trust in the back end there. No more Devin Williams. No more Luke Weaver. I love Weaver, but for the pay upgrade he's going to get, I'd rather take that and put it towards Diaz to come in. Because you already have Bednar, Doval, Cruz, and Hill under contract. Weaver's going to probably get about $10 million in a deal. I'd rather take that money and put it towards Diaz and give him a 4 for $80 and give him $20 million a year to come in and be the back end stopper. And it doesn't hurt that you steal a Mets player from the Mets after they took Soto from us last year. Boom, 2 for 1. I'm not mad at it. I actually, baseball-wise, I think it makes a ton of sense. But also, tabloid back page, sports talk radio, social media-wise, it would be a hell of a story that a year after the Mets lure Soto away from the Yankees managed to lure Diaz away from the Mets. I think it would perfect story. I don't think they're going anywhere near Alonso. Everyone who ever suggests that, no. Take a walk. No. But on that note, those are the only free agents I would bring in. I'd re-sign Bellinger. I'd bring in Bo Bichette for third base, and then I'd bring in Diaz to be the closer and the back end. And I think you'd have a lockdown bullpen. And looking through the lineup, because roster breakdown, I got the lineup here. I got starting rotation. I got bullpen. I got the whole thing, the whole shebang. The way that I see it breaking down with those additions, if we were to bring in those additions to this roster, you're looking at Wells still being a catcher. You're looking at Rice being at first base on a semi-permanent basis. Jazz, of course, at second. Volpe at short. I would put Bichette at third base in this instance. Out in left field, you're going to have Dominguez, who should get run this year. You have Belly out in center. And then Judge in right. Filling the Grisham role this year would be Spencer Jones coming up from the minors. Spencer Jones would come up and fill the Grisham role where he's the fourth outfielder, but he gets a ton of playing time because you got to make sure Judge is getting rest. Whenever Rice is not at first base, that's when Bellinger would go to first base, and you could put Jones out in center field because that's where he played in center field in the minors. So you'll put Jones out in center field. Belly goes to first. Rice is sitting down for a game. You want to sit Wells and you want to catch Rice. Same instance. Bellinger goes to first. Jones is in the outfield. You could conceivably get Jones, 300 at bats in on this major league team, and not really sacrifice anyone's playing time because everyone has interchangeable parts. Whether if you're playing Rice at catcher and Wells is taking the seat, well then Bellinger's leaving the outfield, going to first base, and Jones is in the outfield. Your Rice is taking a seat, Wells is still at first, Bellinger's going to first then, and then you got Jones in the outfield again. Or if you're giving Judge a day off, Jones can go out to right field. Giving Dominguez a day off, Jones is out in left field. It gives you the ability to mix, match, and do a lot of things with this kind of makeup. Of course, Stanton will be at DH. Now, we know now that he can, in a pinch, go out and play the outfield. Hopefully that never happens, but we know in a pinch he can play right field for, 6-7 innings a game for a week or two. It's not a bad thing. You don't really want to use that availability, but it's not a bad thing. And then on your bench, you've got Caballero, who, Swiss Army knife, pretty much play him anywhere. Cabrera, Oswaldo Cabrera will be back again, first, third, outfield kind of guy. Heartbeat of this team. He'll be on the bench as another kind of utility guy. And then you've got Ryan McMahon also on the bench as your third baseman, maybe first as well, kind of defensive replacement on the bench. And then I think you're good there. Lineup wise, offensively, defensively, you're good with that. And you just kind of hope this year you get the Volpe of kind of the playoffs of last year, not this past year, the season before. You get the playoff version of Volpe where he's playing with his hair on fire and the shoulder's good. And you get that version back, the Gold Glove version from the Gold Glove defensive version from his rookie season, and the batter from the playoffs in 2024 when we went to that version of Volpe, the World Series version of Volpe. That's the version of Volpe you wanted at batter. Now, if we get it, who knows? But offensively and defensively, and with this lineup, I think you're really good. You're looking at another 95 to 100 win team, just offensive and defensively. Now we're going to pitching. Pitching is going to be impacted significantly by injuries because, again, Cole not going to be ready at the beginning of the year. Probably looking at him in July, best case scenario. I'd say July for him. Rodon's going to probably miss the first month of the season. He's going to miss April. Probably end of April, beginning of May is when he's going to come back. Schmidt, August, maybe. He might miss the whole season. If Schmidt's back in August, he's in the bullpen. He's not starter. He's going to be in the bullpen if he's back in August or September. He'll be a weapon maybe for the playoffs in the back end of the bullpen kind of deal. But the way that I've got this lined up, there was another free agent that I was bringing in, and I got so caught up in the other two, I forgot about this. I'm bringing Michael King back as a starter to fill a hole. But I'm structuring it in a way where it's a 2-year, $50 million deal, but he's got a opt-out after 1. So it's basically a 1 for 25 because he's got the qualifying offer from San Diego at 22. But he's going to decline that, I'm pretty sure. And then the way you structure this is 2 for 50, or if he decides he wants to opt out, it's 1 for 25. 1 for 25, which is best case scenario for the Yankees is he comes in, balls out, and goes insane and opts out. And now you can reset with your lineup next year. Now, looking at what else I've got going on here, the way that I'm kind of looking at the notes I've got written here, the way that I kind of got this looking is for the rotation. You've got obviously Max Fried, ace, co-ace. He's going to be number 1 this year. He's your number 1 starter. You bring in Michael King on that deal. He's going to be, you slot him in at 2. At that point, because Rodon's missing the first month of the season here, you're going to slot Heel in at 3. Will Warren would slot in at 4. And then Cam Schlittler would slot in at 5. That's your 1 through 5 to start the season. Once you get Rodon back, I would transition Warren to the bullpen. And then your 1 through 5 would be Fried, King, Heel, Rodon, Schlittler. That would be my 1 through 5 once Rodon's back in probably May. Late April, early May. Now, once you're looking at when Cole is coming back, in what? We'll just say around 4th of July. Around that time frame, mid-season. You've got Cole coming back, but guess what? Cole's going to be on an innings crunch. You've got Schlittler probably on an innings, not limit, but wash. Healed since he missed half of last year and has never really pitched a full season. He's going to be on some kind of innings watch. You should go to a 6-man rotation once Cole comes back. And then your 6-man rotation is the same 5. So you got Fried, King, Heel, Rodon, Schlittler, and you just slide Cole in as the six man in this rotation. You go to a 6-man rotation. Everybody's at that point then, everyone's pitching probably once a week. So, and if you need to skip starts for guys, you can skip starts for people to get them extra rest and keep maybe Fried or King on regular rest. But the way that I'm looking at it, best bet for everyone, especially since Rodon's going to be coming back from an injury and with elbow surgery. You know, you've got Cole coming back from reconstructive elbow surgery. Schlittler hasn't pitched a full major league season, so they're going to be watching his innings. Heel has been constantly hurt, so they're going to be watching his innings. Fried pitched the most innings he's ever pitched in his professional career last year. And King missed most of the year last year also with injury. So you just play this safe. You go to 6-man rotation. Everybody's kind of just there. You're watching everyone. Keep everybody fresh. And you move from there. I mean, with the lineups, with the 26-man roster, if you've got 13 hitters and 13 pitchers, you could fill out, even with 6 starters. That's going to allow you to have 7 guys in the bullpen to figure out, how to get through certain situations if somebody doesn't have it. With the 6-man rotation, you still have Will Warren in the bullpen as your long guy. So really, you've got 7 starting pitchers on the active roster pretty much at all times when you're in this 6-man rotation the second half of the season. July through the end of September. And then October, of course, you're just going to go with your best guys. You're going to cut this nonsense out and you're going to just go probably Cole, Fried, Rodon, and King. 4 guys. Boom. Those are your 4 starters. Schlittler, Heel, Warren, they're all going to be in the bullpen if they're on the postseason roster. You only need 4 in the postseason. But speaking of the bullpen, there's enough here where you don't have to go nuts. You bring in Diaz, that's your closer. You got Bednar, 8th inning guy, Doval, Cruz, 6-7, however you want to split that up. You got Tim Hill as the lefty specialist in that bullpen. Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5. Once Rodon's back, you've also got Warren then in the bullpen. That's 6. You really only need a couple more spots. I'm not going out there and acquiring more relievers and paying them money when I have, look, you've got Bird, Efros, Ian Hamilton, Jake Cousins. You've got guys under contract on roster, and some of them have options where you could stash them in the minors if they don't make this team out of spring training. You have options to make this work if you're the Yankees without having to go out and bring in multiple relievers. Efros has been hurt and hasn't really had a chance to I don't think he's pitched very much for the Yankees since he was acquired from the Cubs. But you still have Efros under contract. Hamilton is still under contract. Cousins is still under contract. Jake Bird, who you just got from the Colorado last trade deadline, still under contract, and I believe still has options. So if he doesn't make the team out of spring training, you can stash him in the minors for part of the season if you need to. You only need 2 of those 4 guys to really hit and make the roster. And if they hit and they work, and then halfway through the season they lose it, swap them out. Simple as that. Loizaga, they didn't pick up his option. He's gone. I don't think he's back. I think he didn't have it when he was there last year. I think he's shot, unfortunately. You got to let him go try to catch on and see if he still got it somewhere else. You can't just throw good money at bad at that situation. You got to let Loizaga walk. I already went over the injury situations, really just pitching with that. Prospect-wise, I already kind of went over this. It's kind of what I had outlined here. Jones and Dominguez need to get at-bats. Which is why I was against the Grisham. I think the Grisham qualifying offer is a hedge on if they get priced out / comfortability with keeping Grisham around. They know, but I think that season was an outlier. I don't think it was where his true abilities lie. I think he's a bit of a lesser player. So I think $22 million is an overpay. Again, I wouldn't have done it, but yeah, no, I think Dominguez and Jones need to get playing time. Heel and Schlittler need to go from the very beginning, and we could watch their innings in the second half, as I just kind of went over with the pitching plan. But yeah, this is kind of I just wanted to get on here and get my thoughts out on how I would handle this offseason if I were the Yankees. Get these thoughts out. You're going to see more stuff from me on this channel. I'm going to delve into some Jets videos. I'm going to delve into some Knicks stuff once that season gets going and I really get a feel for what that team's looking like. You're even going to see me talk about some wrestling stuff, big time into WWE. I do watch AEW, so I'm familiar with both of those companies, so I'll get into some videos on that. Again, mostly going to be a lot of Yankees and Jets content, especially with the offseason for the Yankees coming, and now mid-season disaster that is the Jets, as they always are for the last 20 years. 20 years is excessive, the last 15 years. But yeah, you're going to see videos from me on the Jets, Yankees, Knicks, some WWE, some possibly AEW stuff. I'm going to try to get up here. Not going to guarantee it, but I'm trying to upload a video every day. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. This is kind of a side hustle. Still have a full-time job. So we'll see if I can get a video up here every day. I'm going to try. But thanks. If you guys comment, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you want me to talk about. If there's anything in particular, maybe I'll make a video on something you guys suggest in the comments. But yeah, let me know. Peace. Yeah.